In this video, we're going to focus on the menu bar. Now, in the previous video, we talked a little bit about folders, and we did some screenshots, and we created folders. And when we created folders, we did so by right-clicking and saying New Folder. This is a menu, right? This is a type of menu. We also have the menu bar, though. The menu bar is what's at the very top of our screen. This menu bar is always here, but what it says may vary a little bit depending on what setup you have and if you're running an application. So first, what exactly is in the menu bar? We have the Apple menu itself. This whole next set is the application menu or the app menu. And this is the part that's going to change depending on what you have currently running. So by default, if you have nothing running, it's going to be the Finder menu, right? Because Finder is also an application. But if we do something like launch Safari, then you can see up here it's all changed, right? So now it doesn't say Finder, it says Safari, and it has a variety of different things. Now, this is going to vary from app to app, so I'm not going to go over all the specifics, but for the most part, you're typically going to be able to find the quit option underneath whichever menu has the name of that application. And if you go over to Help on the far side, you also typically have a search option. And this searches for things within the application that maybe you forgot where they're located, like in the menus, right? So if I want to maybe export the current page as a PDF, I can start typing in part of that, like export or PDF, and it will show me where in the menu that's found. So if I highlight over it, it shows it right there, right? So that's a quick, easy way to find things in the menus if you forget where they are. So that's super, super helpful. So if I close this, and we go back to just the plain desktop, or back on Finder, we also have this section over here. So this little section here is the status section, and this will also vary depending on what you have on your machine. I have the Adobe Creative Cloud, I've got a recording thing there, I've got what sort of devices I might want to connect to, internet connection, and a keyboard preferences, right? So this might vary depending on your setup. Next to that we have time, which also can include the date. So if your time or date gets off somehow, this is where you can fix it. We have the spotlight search. Now this is a little different, right? It is part of the menu, but it opens differently. So it doesn't open with sort of a drop-down menu like the others do. This is not for searching an application. This is for searching everything on your computer. So like I could type in something like Photoshop, and if I have it, it will find it. I could also type something like maybe one of the screenshots I took last time. Maybe I can't figure out where I put it. Right? So screenshot, and it will show me things that maybe share that name. I might have to scroll down a little bit. If I still don't see it, which I don't, I'm going to have to show all in Finder, and that will show me more. So I can see folders, applications, images, right? So this is a pretty useful little tool. There's a shortcut for it too. Instead of going all the way up here, you can also just do Command space, and that will also bring it up. It remembers I typed screenshot last time, so it brings that up, but if I delete, you can see it's the same thing, right? If I type in processing, right? So it's going to put towards the top what it thinks you want, but it'll have other ones further down as well, and if you still can't find it, like I said, do show all in Finder. Next to that, we have this notifications here. You might have an icon for Siri in between these two. It just depends if you have it enabled. I don't have Siri enabled right now, so I don't have that icon, but you might have a little Siri icon there, just depending on how your system is set up. And then you have the notifications here, right? So you can see today. This also communicates with your calendar, so if you're using the calendar feature, it will show things there. And you've got some other options down here too, where you can modify what it might include in those notifications. So I mentioned right-click earlier as well as in the previous video, and that also brings up a menu, correct? And in this menu, you have submenus, right? Whenever you see these little right arrows, that means there's a submenu that might have more options or other choices. And we can see those also down here in our dock, right? So when I showed you how to remove an application from your dock, I mentioned you could click and hold. And Siri had the option to remove it, and these other ones didn't. But when I showed you the menu, it does say options, and there is a submenu, and you can do it that way as well. Now, you could remove it from dock this way, but holding down and waiting and then going up here and then doing remove from dock, that takes a bit longer than just dragging it off the dock, right? So, but it is an option. The more interesting option to me is something like open at login. You have show and finder as well, which can be useful if you're wanting to navigate to your applications folder. That can be faster than actually opening your hard drive and sorting through it. But there's a faster way for that too, using a keyboard shortcut. So on your keyboard, if you hold Command and you click an application icon, that will take you to the same place. So that's the gist of menus. There are, of course, other specifics here and there depending on which applications you might be using, but overall, that should get you started understanding and working with some of the menus that you'll see.